We do several things. Where do we even start? Who here has ever heard of the movie E.T. the Porno? Excellent. So if you haven't, our site would be a fantastic place to find information on that. We do video riffs of a lot of different exploitation movies from the 60s through the 80s, some in the early 90s on a show called The Cinema Snob, where I play a really highbrow movie critic who's kind of stuck reviewing stuff that he normally wouldn't like very much, kind of like watching Siskel and Ebert review like a Friday the 13th movie, where they get really, really, really cartoonishly mad about it because its message is terrible. That's kind of it. It's a spoof up of things like that. But we also do reviews for newer movies that are directly out from the theater in their pre-screening. So for instance, 12 hours ago, I was in a car reviewing 50 Shades of Grey. Spoiler, it's not very good. But the audience was hilarious. It was kind of like if the audience for a Twilight movie was 20 years older and still had the same taste in things. And were really horny. It was weird. It was the weirdest freaking thing. So we also have original movies. We do thrillers. We did a movie called Paranoia that was a serial killer movie. We've done comedies. We did a movie called Game Boys that was about a couple of old school retro gamers. And we do comedy thrillers. We have a movie version of our series, the Cinema Snob movie, it starts out as this kind of quirky comedy and then turns into a spoof, not a spoof, but kind of an homage to like Italian giallo thrillers. So what kind of starts out as like a Clerks kind of comedy, as the movie goes on, you see a cell phone get shoved through a guy's eye. Spoiler, sorry. Crap, I gave away the ending. Alright, that happens like halfway through the movie. Here's what really happens at the end. So that's what we do.
And you see the kids' movies.
I see the kids' movies. It's my job to, I guess it's my shtick to watch the upcoming family movies that come out and give my honest critique on those. And honestly, they're not really that good.
No, that one guy was really mad at you for not liking Annie.
Yeah, there's some person who wrote me a very lengthy, very poorly typed out email about how...
He didn't write to you, he wrote to me.
He wrote to you. To give to me.
Oh, I can't be rude, I gotta give this to him.
I was notoriously hard to find online.
It was very funny, because like he was mad, like, why would I send Jake to a movie directed towards 13-year-old girls? Which obviously means I should have sent a 13-year-old girl to a pre-screening at midnight.
But since we don't have one of those, I'm the next best thing.
Exactly. So we'd like to open this up for any questions about any videos we have, any movies we do, making movies on a very shoestring budget, usually meaning
$5?
Yeah, the price for literal shoestrings. Anyone have any questions for any of our videos, movies, anything like that? Yeah.
You guys plan on watching Secretary?
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like a your territory thing.
You never seen Secretary? It's actually pretty good.
Is it animated?
It's good 50 Shades of Grey.
Nah.
It's a James Spader movie.
Yeah.
James Spader is pretty much the plot of 50 Shades of Grey, except it's a quirky comedy, and the acting is a lot better, and it's a sexier movie. It's an all-around better film than 50 Shades of Grey. It even has some of the same characters' names in it. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think this person might have ripped off both Twilight and Secretary and made fan fiction of both of them, when you should just be staying at home and watching Secretary. It's a great movie. Anyone out there not seen it? Watch it. Save your money on 50 Shades of Grey unless you really want to be there for the audience, in which case I won't blame you. If you want to go see 50 Shades of Grey for the audience, why not? When I was there last night, it was a packed house, and I was one of like 3 guys there. It was me and Sarah Lewis, who also does acting and reviews on our site. And it was a packed house, and there were about, I saw like 3 or 4 seats in the middle of the audience empty. And so I say to this woman, I'm like, are those seats taken? She looks up at me and goes, no, they aren't. Okay. I guess I don't think she's lying, so alright, I'm just gonna sit here. There's nowhere else to go. I'm not gonna sit in the front. I got him to get popcorn at one point. Same lady is like, don't step on my beaver. What is this movie? This does not happen at the screenings for Jake's movies.
I beg to differ.
Oh wait, that's
I was
not...
there for Mr. Popper's Penguins. I watched two people have sex in that theater right behind
That was totally different. That's Mr. Popper's Penguins. You have to have sex during that night. Jim Carrey and Penguins, I want to have sex right now.
Because of Mr.
Yeah.
Popper's Penguins?
Well, that story was just too erotic. And plus, I was at Green Lantern that night. You had to wait there. An experience and movie.
Everything about that was so much better than yours.
I'm at Green Lantern that night. He's at Mr. Popper's Penguins, where there's two people having sex in the back of the theater. His movie got out before ours, so I get a text from him that says, boy, are you gonna wish you were at our movie. I didn't know what that meant at first, so at first I was like, wow, did he really like it? Mr. Popper's Penguins, I guess it was really good. I'm not hearing that from the reviews, but I guess Jake liked it. Problem is, the movie critics didn't see it in the same theater with a white trash couple having sex.
They're so trashy. They're so trashy.
Who was? Yeah.
Of the coming summer movie season, which ones are you two personally most looking forward to and most dreading?
Looking forward to? Probably Mad Max. Mad Max Fury Road. That trailer is an art film in and of itself. Real cars smashing into real freaking cars. George Miller back doing it again. I'm crazy excited for Mad Max Fury Road. Least, I don't know. What are some movies out there you guys aren't looking forward to this summer? Maybe that'll jog my... I'm at movies every single week, so sometimes I forget what release dates are out.
Yeah, I think I know one. It's called Duff, which basically
But
says...
that comes out next week.
Oh.
That comes out next week. I'm not going to be at that, though. I'm not going to be... Well, unless I have to see like 2 movies that day, then I might. But I'm going to be at Hot Tub Time Machine next week.
I mean, I seen the trailer and right away it pisses me off. How basically it's gonna be like the new friend zone. If anyone comes call me Duff, I'm just gonna say fuck you and walk away.
It looks bad. It's the same thing with like She's All That and movies like that. Where you guys seen the trailer for this movie? The Duff? Okay. Apparently it stands for Designated Ugly Bat Friend.
Yeah.
This is news to me.
I didn't know that either.
Maybe we were Duffs in high school and no one said that to our face. Fucking maybe, I don't know. This movie is opening my freaking eyes, but it's a movie, so the girl is still hot. She just wears overalls and has glasses, like the guy in the movie in the trailer. Like it's like She's All That, where they're like, oh man, she's got a ponytail and overalls. She's ugly. Takes glasses off. Damn. That's the movie in 5 seconds.
You don't need to watch it. Just watch She's All That. That's good enough.
Yeah, that's... Either way, I lose. I have to watch the Duff or just stay home and watch She's All That. Apparently those are my only 2 options.
Yeah.
I can't watch Varsity Blues instead. What the hell, right? I don't like this choice very much.
Well, at least there's no Freddie Prinze Jr. It could be worse.
He was, the last thing I saw him in was, I don't know, a season of 24. Wow, couldn't tell you. You don't remember that season of 24? Freddie Prinze Jr.? That was the season after the Ricky Schroeder season.
I guess
You did, man. It was later 24. It was so good. Hate watching. Yeah.
What do you think of Tusk?
Tusk.
Yeah, man, what did you think of Tusk?
See Tusk?
No. Again, it's an anime. Is it aimed for...
It might as fucking well be.
Turned into a walrus.
Yeah, dude, don't give away the middle of the movie. It was Human Centipede, but instead of that, he's a walrus. Some people can totally write high. I've done it before. I've done it before. I've seen a lot of movies that were written by people high off of their ass, directed by people high off of their ass. I'm not, as much as I like him as a writer and a director, I'm not entirely convinced that Kevin Smith needs to be writing while high, because then we get Justin Long turning into a walrus. I tried so hard. You know, for the first half of the movie, I was honestly kind of with it. I was. For the first half of the movie, I thought it was kind of funny. And like, it had Michael Parks is in it, and he plays a crazy person, of course, and because of that, he's legitimately intimidating in the movie. He is scary in the film. And it had some funny moments in the first act, but maybe the problem was I wasn't high. Maybe my problem was I watched this movie sober. I don't know. I'm used to going to see the Oogie Loves and stuff like that while high. So as soon as he turns into this walrus, I couldn't do it, man. It was too much even for me. And my favorite movie is Caligula, that has a scene where someone has an ass on their stomach getting rimmed. Like, that to me is the greatest movie of all time. Justin Long turning into a walrus? I don't know. It was this rubbery ass costume, and he's feeding him mackerel. I can't do it. I can't do it. But like, Human Centipede is funnier than this.
Wasn't he up in a zoo or something?
Yes, like Johnny Depp turns up in this movie.
What?
Playing He turns up maybe halfway into the movie as Crow Mordecai.
He's not even credited in
Yeah,
the.
he's not
in the
even
credits.
credited, and his scenes go on for eternity. And so he's got this lazy eye. He has this French Canadian accent, and at first it's kind of cute, and then 18 hours later it's not so cute anymore. And so at the end, they find the walrus, and his name in the movie, by the way, is Wallace, and he has a mustache. It was just predetermined for him. He was going to end up becoming a walrus in his life. So it looks like Johnny Depp is going to shoot him with a shotgun, and then it cuts, and it's a year later, and he's living in a zoo with his own little house in the back of it, and he looks very sad, probably because Johnny Depp didn't shoot him like he probably wanted. What was even in like between him not shooting him and him being in a zoo? Was Johnny Depp just kind of like, well, I don't know, maybe his life will be all right as a walrus. He seems happy. He's got a pool. He's got an indoor and an outdoor pool. He gets all the fish he wants. Maybe I won't shoot him. Have I convinced you to watch Tusk?
No. You did not sell that movie to me very well.
Damn, I was trying so hard.
He's like, hell no, I ain't watching this.
Nope.
Any other Wallace questions?
Yeah, I wish I got one, but nah. but
Yeah.
Do you do any spontaneous reviews for some reason something happens, so you have to do a review of that somehow related to it, or do you make sure that you plan it out well in advance?
You mean like on the Cinema Snob, or
Yeah.
like in general?
Cinema Snob.
There have been times when I had it in my mind that I was going to do a video on one particular movie. It doesn't take me that long to write about it. It's like the writing process is like a day, and then I shoot it at the end of that day, and then the next day I write it. So all told, it's like a 2-day process doing it. All it is, if you haven't seen it, it's I'm sitting in a chair. I have a black suit on. I have these big glasses. I look like I'm this like pretentious movie critic, like an art school guy. And so I'm in this big chair, and then it's showing clips of the movies. My voiceover's over it. It cuts back to me, and I say something smarmy or sarcastic. It's like watching Roger Ebert review like Silent Night, Deadly Night. You know, it's like, this is corrupting our children, whatever. This movie about killer Santa Claus. And so, because my turnaround time is very quick, because of that, sometimes I'll come across something where I'm like, scratch what I was gonna do. I just found this Jaws porno spoof called Gums, where it's a mermaid and she blows dudes to death. It's great. It's way better than Tusk.
That one I would watch.
Yeah, that one's fantastic.
See, that one you sold properly, too.
It's because I'm trying to sell that one. It's like the opening scene in Jaws when they go skinny dipping. In this one, it's the guy who goes in the water and the girl like passes out. The guy goes in the water, the mermaid comes and just starts blowing him, and the guy's like, oh no, dies. And a severed fetus the next day or something. And it's in the Quint role, it's Brother Theodore from the Burbs playing a Nazi. He's their shark expert, I guess. And the Richard Dreyfuss role is Robert Kerman from Cannibal Holocaust. And Debbie Does Dallas. I almost didn't recognize him at first. He's got this big old bushy beard in it. Way more Dreyfussy looking in this than he was in Cannibal Holocaust. But yeah, stuff like gums. I did that very spur of the moment.
Recently I watched this movie Horns with Radcliffe, and
yeah.
Me personally, it was a crazy movie, but I thought it was pretty good. It's just, it was really crazy
I haven't
stuff.
seen it.
I was just asking if you haven't seen it, but I think it's pretty good, but you should probably check it.
It's on, I honestly haven't saved it all. I have it on my DVR, I just haven't gotten around to watching it yet. I was too busy watching walrus movies.
Okay, maybe I can back up with this question.
That was years ago.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, maybe I can back up with this question. Is there any future movie projects you're working on right now, or are you just kind of taking a break?
We do, we're wrapping up a series right now. I have a series on my site, it's called The Reviewers, that's kind of a spoof of what we do, like the whole internet reviewer thing. It's about, I write it and direct it, Jake stars in it along with another guy on our site, Brian Lewis and Sarah Lewis as well, and he and Brian play two guys who are trying to kind of get into the internet reviewing thing, but their shows are very cheesy and corny. Honestly, I would watch them.
I would watch my character show.
He does. You want to explain Space Lancer Steve?
Space Lancer Steve? Yeah, I'll explain Space Lancer Steve. Space Lancer Steve is a...
it's not easy, is it?
the Lancer in space, I suppose. He
lances from planet to planet.
There's supposed to be an ongoing plot with his reviews, as opposed to just, movie review, which is mostly the formula. My character decides that he wants this all-encompassing plot happening while he just randomly throws a movie into review.
It's intentionally shoehorned in bad. He's like, oh, thank God I got enough fuel to get off this planet. Meanwhile, let's talk about Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday, out of nowhere. It's a spoof of that particular aspect of that show. It's a spoof off of plot-based internet review shows. Stuff like, have you ever seen Atop the Fourth Wall, or Apollo Z-Hack, things like that. It's kind of like a satire of that a little bit. But we're wrapping up the season finale on that show. If you haven't seen it, I really enjoyed how it's coming out. It's kind of fun to poke a little fun at what we do for a living. It's fun to do that. And in my particular case, it's fun just kind of being just on the writing and directing end of it with everyone else in front of the camera. So not that our setup is that big anyway. We were point and shoot, so it's not like it takes that long whenever I have to give someone else the camera and jump in front of the camera. But once we finish that, once we finish up the season finale of that, I've got to finish. We're doing an anthology movie called Shot on Shitio. That's like an homage to the shot on VHS tape horror movies of the 80s and 90s. It's this anthology horror comedy. We started it last year. It was supposed to be a pretty quick production because it's freaking shot on videotape. It was supposed to be a very quick production, and because of that polar vortex winter, that kind of threw a hatchet into that a little bit, and we had to postpone filming because if we had kept filming that when the winter ended, it would have pushed back other stuff like the reviewers and some of the other stuff I was doing. So once we finish the reviewers, we'll be getting back into finishing up Shot and Shitio. And we do another series on the site called 80s Dan, about a guy who was from the 80s and somehow time traveled into the present day and lives with a talking robot and a roommate. We're doing a movie version of that's like a spoof of psychological thrillers like The Stepfather and things like that. It's the stepfather, but it's a cokehead guy from the 80s. Who for some reason people trust him. And a robot talks to him. That should be crazy. That should be pretty fun. Yeah.
Bear with me, this question is a little bit complicated. I know you've seen a lot of films, and I was wondering if at any point, have you ever seen a sequel to a movie or movies that made you think much more critically of the films preceding it? Because I recently, last year, saw the last Hobbit movie, and I was so furious at that movie that it made me look back at the prior two, and it's like, there is so much I would have changed now that I know how this ends.
I've certainly seen movies where the sequels have been so bad that it leaves me with no desire to really go back and watch the ones I liked. Even though it's not that I would necessarily change whatever review I had of it, it just made me be like, I don't want to really go down that road again. Like, I kind of like the first Hangover movie, and they made 2 and 3.
Yeah,
I have no reason to see the first one again.
Yeah.
There's no, even though I kind of like Paranormal Activity when it came out, then 4
First one was
happened,
alright.
and the Martin ones and stuff like that. I don't really need to see those other movies again, necessarily. So I know what you mean. I don't think it would necessarily make me go back on what I originally thought of them. I mean, if I watched them now, yeah, maybe I would, maybe there would be stuff about it that I didn't like now that I kind of liked back then. See, yeah, a bad sequel can certainly sour you on what you kind of like about something. Then again, like, a sequel can kind of work where an original one failed. Like
Star Trek The Motionless Picture?
yeah, like that. Or I honestly thought the second Purge movie was pretty fun. It was one of the best Punisher movies I've ever seen. And I didn't like the first one. When I saw the first one, I was like, oh, this is a really cool plot. And they're just in a house. All right, whatever. The second one, they're loose in the city. There's flaming buses and shit, and Gatling guns out of ice cream trucks, and freaking Frank Grillo is practically playing the Punisher, doing like a most dangerous game thing for like 15 minutes of the movie. And it's wrapped up really quick because he's good at killing people. We saw that the same night we saw Planes 2.
Planes 2. Yeah.
That made us really like Purge 2.
Yeah.
What was-
Yeah.
Ooh.
Sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
What are your thoughts on Jurassic Park 4?
The trailer's fine. I don't like heavily, like, all that's been out's really just kind of a teaser trailer, and I'm not as hugely nitpicky as a lot of other people who do kind of the same things that we do are. I tend to be a little bit more optimistic about things. Not that again, like, I'm sure there are several instances where I've seen a teaser trailer for something and I've been like, you know, whatever. That one, I don't know, there's not enough in that trailer for me to form an exact opinion on it. When they announce the movie, they announce what it's about, they announce the cast, all right, cool, fine. There's a teaser trailer. There's some silly stuff in the trailer, like when they were feeding the dinosaur a shark. All right, I buy the cow thing in the first one way more than I buy the shark thing. But whatever, like, I'm positive, even though, like, okay, that part of the trailer, I was like, that's kind of silly. Even though that happened, it's not like I'm going to go see that movie and be like, wow, that was really good, but that shark part sure blew it for me. Like, that probably wouldn't happen for me, so I'm just going to kind of wait and see the movie, or at least see a fuller trailer before I'm like, ew, 0 star, that's going to suck.
What's better than Jurassic Park 3?
Yeah.
Whatever, man, that had the pterodactyls in it. That was sweet. I don't know, I was high when I watched it.
That movie sucked.
Yeah.
At least the second was funny.
How do reviews and trends of reviews from other people affect your objectivity when you actually do a review yourself?
Not very. Nothing really. Yeah, nothing. Well, maybe if for in like a party environment or something like that, that you know, might affect how you're watching a movie. That has way more to do with the environment than the movie itself. But it's rare that I'm ever in an instance like that. my favorite movie, my favorite movie of all time is Caligula, which is not considered to be a good movie. In fact, it's usually considered to be one of the worst. So, we check Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that before we go to the movies every week, because we go to the pre-screenings for all the movies that come out. So yeah, I'll hit Rotten Tomatoes and see what like a consensus is on something, just out of curiosity. I won't read the reviews. I save that till after I watch the movie. But yeah, I'll see a consensus on stuff for Rotten Tomatoes, and there have been plenty of stuff where things have been very rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, and I've kind of enjoyed it for some reason or another. And there's stuff that's been fresh that I didn't really care that much for. So no, I don't. I just kind of like what I like. I'm not. We're just guys online who put up a camera in front of our face and we just talk about movies that we see. That's what we are. That's kind of where we come from. We're not. We don't have any ill-conceived notion that we are professional movie critics in any way, shape, or form. So we don't act like it. We just simply get in front of the camera. And
No, it would be fired years ago.
Oh God, yeah.
Ever try to claim any kind of professionalism?
Yeah, we don't act like we're some kind of like that we've gone to school for film criticism or things like that.
They have one of those?
Oh yeah, yeah.
How to be a dick 101.
That was my favorite class.
I got aces in that one.
I did. It was the only class I did really good at. So we don't come into it thinking that we're anything more than we're just sitting in front of the camera and here's what we thought about this particular movie. That's kind of how we go about that. It's just us as ourselves in front of the camera. I mean, yeah, we're trying to be entertaining because we are in front of a camera and we can't just be sleeping through a video or something like that. So, of course, yeah, we take some soda, some coffee, and we're in front of the camera, but our emotions are real in them.
Yeah, well, my favorite ones is that like Jake is with can't remember the name, but basically they're reviewing the Twilight movies, and he's just like sitting there just all pissed off.
Oh,
what's the strength?
well, those were sketches. The Twilight reviews, those were sketches, but those were obviously sketches. Those are
Well, you're referring to the Twilight review?
yeah.
Yeah, well, the Breaking Dog one where you just like you just ready to
I was ready to choke a bitch. That's because I was ready to choke a bitch.
But
The thing is like when we did the Twilight thing, like we had an idea of what we wanted to do. We really wanted Jillian to play up that fangirl thing, just really, just drive it home, just beat the crap out of it against me. And my whole shtick on this website is just kind of be mad. So what you hear us talk about, there's no scripts. It's everything that we do is ad-lib. Just record until we decide it's done, then end record.
Yeah.
He polishes it up, maybe like 5 or so minutes, and then done. It's on. Like so. With that one, I knew Jillian was going to play up the fangirl aspect. I knew I had to kind of up my anger game, so to speak. But the way that she delivered it, and because she is a friend, she knows exactly how to say things, when to say them, to really push up my actual buttons.
She knows how to push buttons.
So during that review, like at first I was like, blah, 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 then she kept talking, and then when you see me go quiet, that's where like my actual anger is actually starting to take over a little bit. So like when I go just dead quiet, that's in my head like calm down, calm down, calm down, calm down before you say something that's going to get you banned from the internet. Do something that's going to get you banned from the internet.
That was something big.
I would cut it out. I'd cut it out. Like,
catch a damn car on fire.
There was one video where it looked like the car was on fire. We should have the camera on the dashboard pointed backwards, and there was one time we were in the parking lot and somebody had like this fire pit going on behind it, so it kind of looked like the truck was on fire. Should we put this out? No, dude, we gotta finish talking about deliver us from evil.
That was just a romantic setting.
Yeah, the most romantic of our videos. It's like those videos are, well, the Twilight thing, that was That was a sketch. That was an intentional sketch. And like there were different bullet points that they kind of had to hit on it and stuff like that. But those were sketches because Jillian was kind of playing this character.
It was really convincing though.
There are people who believe that she was like that.
Yeah,
There were.
Like probably the review that I get asked about the most, which was, you know, if it was genuine or not, was the That's My Boy review, where I eviscerated that movie, anyone who was a part of it, and
those of us who were in the parking lot.
and those who were in the parking lot, anybody who was within like a 10-foot radius of my wingspan. And the only person who was safe was Sarah, and that's because I was dating her at the time, and that was about it. That was her idea for me to see that movie.
What would you know? She liked it.
I honestly, I can't even comprehend what would have happened. She was like, oh, no, I liked it.
Well, I liked it.
Get out!
That's how she would put it too.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Like that's my boy review. That was one of those moments where, like, when I get angry or upset, I turn my filter off. You know, the filter that is causing me to speak cordially to you people. I turn it off. So whatever comes out is just wee. Like I don't even remember what the hell I'm saying. And in that one, like once I started to get on the roll, like once I started letting the anger go, like I started to black out.
Yeah.
Like it just what the movie talked about, how it executed it, the actors, and all that stuff. It seriously culminated into still to this day the worst movie I have ever seen.
Ever?
Ever. No,
Yeah.
I've seen some really bad ones.
Uh-huh.
That one takes the cake.
Yeah.
So just how much the movie is very insulting.
Yeah, I mean, I've always seen like bits and pieces of it. Well, the gay part is that we're just kids like hating up with this teacher, and then when they get caught, like the school is like, hey,
Oh yeah, no, hey, that's great. No, we love it when our teachers have sex with students.
I'm like,
So no, it's okay because she's a female, he's a male.
I'm like,
Somebody out in the hallway just did a double take.
That's my boy. I am explaining this movie to you. Pedophilia, the movie. I'll do this review again.
what the fuck is up with this?
Oh man, I never saw it. I was at rather ages that night. But no, I know what you mean. Like that was kind of me in the video for Endless Love.
Yeah.
Like, but that was also like I was like that in the video for Endless Love, and I was also doing that video with Jillian.
It was really, really good at pushing the buttons where it blurs the line between entertainment and like, bitch, are you doing this to personally assault me now?
She is. Whenever I have to cut something out of one of those videos, it's typically because we got a guy who does the reviews too. His name's Brian Irving. And he will intentionally say the most offensive things that I cannot post. So sometimes you will see just a random cut in the middle of the
Because
thing.
somebody just said something really offensive.
Yeah. Sometimes I will leave it in. Sometimes I will. Whether or not I leave it in will usually depend on what the reaction from the person next to him is. So sometimes the guy on our side, Brian Lewis, will have a funny reaction to what he said. You will. You'll play off of it really well, and I'll be able to leave it in there. Whereas I usually start laughing, and that just makes it worse. And our friend David Gobble is also in this series, and he will just pile on to what Irving has said, and I have to cut out like 10 minutes of the video. But that stuff is he does it to screw with us. So. People have asked, like, are those clips ever going to be released? They're not, because they don't exist anymore.
No, those are permanently gone.
Those are, oh yeah, those are
We
gone.
didn't ask.
Put it in the AK-47 to the trash can.
If he was here, he would probably.
No, if he was here, he'd probably tell you each and every offensive thing that he said.
Yeah.
All of it. And then both me and him be like, well, this is the last time we're ever doing this.
I can't even remember what some of them are off the top of my head.
I can't. but it's not going to repeat. I was there for a lot of them.
Well, this you guys not saying that. Wow, it must be bad.
It's bad.
It's
It's
bad.
bad. It's bad. And I watch movies like, I watch Sasquatch porn for a living. I can't show this on my site.
What
I
deal?
can show Sasquatch railing someone. Can't show.
But not what Irving is saying.
Yeah, Yeah.
I never found a movie too disgusting to watch. Never watched any of those.
A movie that's too disgusting to watch? No. I mean, once you've shown 4 E.T. pornos, it's a little like hard to find the limit. There was one movie that I initially did pass on because honestly, if I haven't seen the movie before, I don't pre-watch it. I'll be like, okay, I want to do this one. All right, like when I did Gums, I hadn't seen the movie before, and I just went ahead and picked it because for me, I kind of like that gamble. You know, you don't know how this movie's going to turn out. You're 100% going to do an episode on this, and if it gives you stuff to work with, great. If it doesn't, that's a challenge. That's a challenge to try to find some way to make this work as a comedic video, and I like that. There was one movie that I initially did pass on, though. Well, later on I did an episode on it, but it was a movie called Hitler's Harlot. And it was, all it was just sex. That was it. It was a guy in an SS outfit, the Nazi flag. There were people in a waiting room. I don't know. Like, you, come back here, you. Okay. Sex. Wash, rinse, repeat. That was it. And so I passed on that because they're I can't show as graphic as some of the stuff is. I can't show nudity. I have to black box it out and stuff like that. So I didn't even know if this would even be watchable because of all the black boxing I would have to do. And I mentioned it at a con one time. I told the story at a con, but before I decided to actually do it as an episode. And I think someone might have said something like, well, I'll do it, or something like that. I'm like, no, you don't want to do this. I'm like, fine, I'll do it. And I sat down and did it. It was like a 10-minute episode. It was kind of short. It was an easy episode to do. There was very little footage I could use. That's the closest I've come to picking something and then not picking it, but then picking it again. Because why not? But no, there hasn't been something that's been too gross or disgusting for me to watch.
To your recollection, what is the worst beverage you've had on Brad Tries?
He took my question. You son of a bitch.
That's a question that always gets asked. Worst beverage. It was, I believe it came in one of the Jones soda packs, and it was Brussels sprout soda.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good if you really want like liquid carbonated butter. Because that's what it tasted like. Carbonated, melted, warm, several-year-old butter. I almost got very
You're
sick.
really gross, dude.
Wouldn't I be gross if I liked it?
I don't know, I think you're kind of gross, bitch.
I was really thirsty and it was Christmas, alright?
Someone had to do it.
I like your description of the Boca wheat drink the best.
What was my description of that?
Something along the lines of, oh, this smells like bacon grease and an old ashtray.
Probably. I've done so many of those, I can't even remember what that even tasted like, but I remember it tasting like hell.
Yeah, Jake really appreciated that one.
Did you do that one too? I did. We've done so many of these.
I put a lot of bad things in my mouth. You're gonna have to.
Oh! I can think in so many ways.
I want you to take it all of those ways.
Okay, I will.
Do you have a worst thing that you've had on that show? You've been on a number of episodes.
I've been on a few.
Oh, would it be the cream cheese thing?
Oh God. The state fair cream cheese thing. Kind of, but to be honest with you, I already knew what the hell I was going to do the second we were like, it's a cream cheese pickle.
Pickle.
Gross.
Pickle. He hates cream cheese. I hate pickles. It was a pickle wrap. They spelled wrapped wrong on the sign. It's in the video, and like it said pickle raped.
It was a big orange.
What the hell kind of bear this is?
Maybe that's why it looks the way it does. That's where the cream cheese came from.
Well, it did technically rape your mouth.
We spit it.
I spit mine out.
We spit it out.
Oh, you don't swallow?
Not that.
Not that- Well, wait, I did. You spit out.
I spit.
Yeah.
I'm spitter.
Apparently, I'm a swallower even when it's pickled. It's already in my mouth.
Might as well just go down.
Yeah, I've come this far.
Oh, don't think people got that one.
Yeah.
Oh, for any future internet reviewers for whatever format or stuff that they do, what do you suggest that they not say or do in their videos?
Honestly, I suggest anyone do what they want, provided it's legal. Yeah, I suggest, like, if anyone wants to go out and start an internet series, even if, like, okay, let's say even if it's something that's been done 1,000 times, all right. If that's what you want to do, go for it. You know, if it makes you happy, you know, even if you're not, if it's something you want to do because you are really enjoying it, because you love doing it, have at it, man. Don't let anyone stop you. I mean, I would suggest, like, shoot whatever you want for the pilot. Shoot a pilot, put whatever you want in there, and look at feedback. See what works. You don't have to do everything that's in the feedback. You don't have to do that. But if people in the feedback are all saying a common thing, if there's a common string of suggestions, positives, negatives, or any of that, then work on that. Maybe try tweaking it. Like, if you're open to doing something like that, it's all about. I do that. Like, if I'm doing a pilot for something, I throw stuff at the wall and I see what sticks. Something
Like
doesn't.
pasta.
What's that?
Like pasta.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like throwing pasta at the wall show.
Is that how you design our shows? Do you have like this, like a storyboard put up on your and you just boil noodles and throw them at the wall?
It's like,
all right,
okay,
that one stuck. What are we doing?
His name is.
80s Dan. I don't know what the hell that is, but all
I
right,
can figure it out. It's a space Lancer Steve. All right, I can work.
Okay, then I get the text. Hey, buddy, I got a part for you. Space Lancer Steve.
Actually, I can't take credit for
Right.
that. Linkara came
That's
up with that. Linkara came up with Space Lancer.
We're just allowed to use it.
Yeah. He
Used under license.
he gave it to me. He was like, "Hey, do what you want with this." I'm like, "All right, I can think of something to do with this."
I'm making it my own character. He owes me $5.
All right, since we've had worse, what would you say was the best thing that you've tried that you never thought would be good?
That I didn't think was gonna be good.
Yeah, like your first impression was that it was gonna suck, and then once you drank it,
Then I liked it.
yeah.
Off the top of my head, there was a green bean soda. I hate green beans. I don't like green beans. This has been.
I didn't know that.
This
Elsa Jones soda.
That was
that was a
yeah.
Thanksgiving thing, wasn't it?
I think it was in one of the holiday packs, Thanksgiving, Christmas, one of them. And I was so not looking forward to that because I really don't like green beans, and it did not taste like green beans. It tasted like butterscotch. So you wouldn't like.
I would not like that.
So I couldn't have sat there and drank the whole bottle, but it was fine. It was fine. I mean, it was old. It was an old soda, so beyond it tasting like butterscotch, it did taste very old. It just happened to be not as vomit-inducing as I thought it was going to be.
Mine was bacon lemonade.
Oh, that was so
Well,
good.
I mean, like what I thought it was like they gave you just a glass of lemonade and like a cooked strip of bacon. You just kind of stir your lemonade and drink. That's what I thought it was. But no, it was this weird, really salty tasting lemonade that was just amazing.
It tasted like maple lemonade.
It really did.
Yeah, you put like some maple syrup, stirred it in the lemonade. That's what it tasted like. That was. I'm allergic to Baconade. That was surprisingly good. Because that was one of the state fair ones we did. One of the best things that we've ever had was at the state fair, and it was deep fried macaroni and cheese.
Oh my god, that was so good.
Oh my god. I'm so glad that there's only there once a year. I'd be dead. Boy, oh man, at the last state fair, we did like insect pizza, we did the pickle wraps, we did so... We did so many things, and there's a picture of us that we posted online after that. That's us at a CVS picking up some Pepto,
Pepto-Bismol.
holding Pepto.
Smile. This was a bad idea.
People were upset in the comments because we didn't shoot as much bonus footage for the fair video this year. So because we were sick. We had bug pizza swimming around our stomach.
I would have done. I was fine with the bug pizza, but it was the cream cheese.
The bug pizza was so thick that
That was just a pure gimmick. It was just basically eating a cheese pizza that occasionally would crunch.
occasionally there would
Occasionally you
be.
get like a weird crunch, but you don't really get a taste. It just tastes like a freaking cheese pizza.
If it
Just
was,
kinda-
if the bugs were underneath the cheese, you wouldn't even know
you
it was
wouldn't
there.
notice it.
It's kind of scary when you think, how many times has this happened?
That's how I'm gonna make all the pizzas at my job now.
Whatever bugs you find.
Yeah.
I don't want to kill them first. I'm not a barbarian. Cook them with alive.
Is the Game Boys cartoon is on a hiatus, or have you stopped making it? Or?
Maybe it'll come back. Sasquatch is coming back. I'm working on a new animated series right now called Lloyd. It's about a cat who's a private detective who takes on cases from exploitation movie
I
characters.
wonder where you got
I
the name
forgot
from.
about that.
You never know.
So that's the and there was a Sasquatch character I did on this animated series called Game Boys, and I like that character so much I'm gonna end up putting him in this episode in this show. So that'll be coming up, the Lloyd animated series, and as far as Game Boys go, people want there to be a series based on Lloyd. So unfortunately, he's not trained. But as far as that show goes, Game Boys, it was too expensive to do. It was too expensive. It went 3 times over budget. One of the main actors from it, who was also in the movie version, he got married and moved away, and I didn't want to do it without him. Maybe it'll come back in the future. It'll probably be a while. It'll probably be a while. I liked the show, but unfortunately, it was too much to do, and I don't want to do it without the guy. So that's all the time that we got. I hope you enjoyed shooting the shit with us for an hour. If you want to come stop by our table, we have DVDs of our movies. We have DVDs of DVD exclusive episodes. We have best of DVDs. We got business cards. Lots of stuff. We're at we're in row 200. we're in row 200. That much I know.
Table of Digging is bubble by kid.
Yeah. So thank you so much for that.